All righty. Again, we give God the glory, and again, so grateful for the opportunity that we have each and every day, and never want to take anything for granted. So we always got to give our Lord and Savior the blessings that He needs to get the recognition of. I just want to say, great fans. I thought our fans were fantastic in the ball game. Our student section they were early, they were loud, they wore their red, and it was enthusiastic. Just a phenomenal for its environment for college football, and just great to be a part of it. And I want to say thank you, fans. And I know you're going to come back out again here on Saturday night to cheer on the Flames and help us to get us another opportunity to have a victory. And on behalf of our players, coaches, and staff, I want to say thank you, fans. Continue that support that you give us. Indiana State, Kurt Mallory, their head football coach there. I don't know him. I know of him. But I know he has a great track record as far as what he's done in his assistant coaching career. I do know him through a friend. He worked with Craig Bowl, who I work with in Nebraska. Played with Craig Bowl, so I know all that connection through that process. He's done a great job wherever he's been. He's been at Michigan and several other places, so I do know that he knows what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. I know he's in a new role from a head football coach's perspective, but I know that everybody speaks very, very highly of him, not just from the X's and O's, but just as a person. So I look forward to really and officially to meet him on the field there a little bit. Their D coordinator, Brad Wilson, came from Wayne State. Obviously, watched a lot of the videos of what they've done at Wayne State there defensively. But also Kurt Mallory's a defensive guy, so I think they may be working together from that perspective. And being at Wyoming, being at North Dakota State, and all those different places that they've been, and with the Craig Bowl connection, they're a four-man front. They're pretty sound on what they do. They mix up some certain things in certain situations. So we got to have a great plan to attack it to the best of our ability. The offensive coordinator, Jeff Hegelinski, I believe that's the way you pronounce it. Again, I don't know him very well, but he's been at different places. He was the receivers coach when I was at Buffalo at Ball State, so I know with Brady Hoke during that time period. He wasn't the offensive coordinator, but he was involved with Ball State through those years that I was there at Buffalo. So know of him a little bit from watching the X's and O's. I know they do a lot of things that cause you to maybe think, and part of their schemes. They do a lot of shifts. They do a lot of motions. They do a lot of different types of formation sets. They do a lot of different personnel groupings. So there's going to be some things that we got to make sure that we're on top of it. If we're not, then they have opportunities to make big plays, and so they've getting off to a fairly good start. I know it's not the record they need to be. Quarterback, they now have gone with the guy by the name of Cade Sparks. They had two guys that played in the Eastern Illinois game, and now in Tennessee, Cade Sparks played that whole ball game. Look like he can spin the ball pretty good. Look like he has good size. Redshirt freshman. I like the progress that he made from the first game to the second game, so I can see why they're now going to go with him as their starter. And then also, they got some running backs. They're pretty good. One running back really has done a very, very good job. They have another receiver, tight end type body. He's a little bit of a guy that all over the place, number 15. So we got some work cut out on what they're doing offensively. It's going to be a little bit different than what we've maybe have seen since I've been here at Liberty. Special teams, why Coach Abrams, the guy there, they do some good things there in their special teams, and so they got a few little wrinkles there that we got to be on top of to making sure that they don't take advantage of it. Also, just a little side kick on it, the brother of John Lunsford, Andrew Lunsford, he's their kicker. Actually, he's their kickoff guy. He doesn't necessarily do their place kicking as far as field goes, but a familiar name that we are familiar with there as far as that goes. Injury report, Malik Matthews is probable. Should have a chance to play this week. Lucas Irons is questionable. We'll see how he progresses as we go on to the rest of the week, but he has a shot to be able to play this week. And I think the keys, again, I spoke about it after the game against Morehead State. I want us to have less than 20 yards of penalties overall as a football team. That's something that we want to make sure that we improve on from what we did from last week. The other thing is we must hold, I guess, Lamonte Booker, number 6. We'll know where he's at all times. He's a guy that's averaging over 100 yards per game. We need to hold him with less than 4 yards per carry. I think if we do that, then we have a great chance to be successful. They're going to get the ball to that guy, and he does a lot of great things for them. Then on our side, offensively, we want to be averaging 4.5 yards per rush. At the end of the day, that's what I hope that I can see there. It doesn't matter how many yards it is, total yards, but to average 4.5 yards per rush. We must win the special teams. So those are the keys to the game. If we do those things, I think we have a great chance to be successful.
Coach, you talked about Booker for them. You saw him a couple years ago, I think, up there as well. Has he gotten a lot better since then?
Yeah, I think he's better. I think he fits the scheme, what they do. They do some good things there, and I can see why they do it with his ability that he has. So they're going to give him the touches, and I can see why they need to do that. He's a senior. He's been around, a veteran guy, has good football skills, good vision, good speed, and he also can make people miss. So it's going to be a challenge for our defense, and we'll be making sure we got to get everything going here the rest of this week.
With 2 games worth of film, have you been able to see what's the cause for so many penalties, especially the 15-yard varieties?
Oh, it's discipline. Just getting caught up on some individual battles, and we just got to continue to talk about that, continue to stay focused on our task in hand and not get caught up in the thing. And some of it just a little bit of football. I know we're hitting the quarterback there a couple of times there as far as we got to stay away from anywhere from the neck and above. You just stay away from that area. And so we'll keep on coaching and teaching and get those things corrected.
Coach, how nice was it to have B.J. Farrow in the lineup last week, and is that issue totally resolved?
Issue is resolved, over and done with. Great to see B.J., excited about him. I know Buckshot Carroll was excited to see him, and so we had a great receiving core as we got Antonio Gandy Golden, we got Damian King and B.J. Farrow, and we got other 3 guys that have played really, really well, and Fitzgerald, you can Cephas Reddick, Spence Jones. So we got a really good core of 5 to 6 guys that's going to play a lot anyway. But again, with B.J. Farrow in it, it makes us even more explosive.
DJ Stubbs really had a really good performance in both kickoff and punt return. What do you guys have What did you guys initially like about him when he got on campus, and what have you seen in his development as he's been able to showcase what he can do against live action?
Well, I guess it even goes back further as far as recruiting him. I guess that was our first thought, is that we want to play him this year, and we thought more about him playing in a returner, whether it was punt return, kickoff return. That's how we're going to get him on the football field. Matter of fact, he's also on our kickoff team, and he's done a great job of that too. So he's a physical kid, has good speed, good quickness, good agility. He's going to be an impact player for us, and he's already made an impact, and he's just going to continue to get better.
Coach, you talked about their 4-man front, their front 7 in particular. Anyone among that group that really stands out to you, and what do they really do to get after you?
I don't know if there's really one particular guy. I know number 40, the Mike linebacker, seems like he's pretty active and moving around. They play sound defense. They know where they're going to line up. They line up where they need to be, and they make plays and run and rally to the football. So I think it's just a good unit. Don't know if there's 1 or 2 guys that really jump out at you to say that he's a dominant player. They're all good football players, but they play well together as a unit, and they rally to the football.
Met up with Indiana State 3 years ago. I know it's a lot of changes since then, new coaching staff and all that. But still got some players still on the team here at Liberty that were part of that game, and they got the best of you then. How much is that game being talked about this week, or used as any type of motivation or anything like that?
Oh, I don't think you do. Is just you talk about that they're a good football team. No matter what their record is. Obviously, some people there that on their team and on our team, but it's now a whole different scheme. They got a whole different coaching staff. We've done a few things a little bit differently too. So again, it's not a whole lot that's really the same. Obviously, the 2 teams, the names of our universities are the same, but as far as you get into the X's and O's, it's a little different. Every year is a different. You change teams. So we're just trying to figure out what they're trying to do scheme-wise. And then see how we can match up with them in every phases of the game. So we'll see what happens, and I know we look forward to playing another game right here at home.
You mentioned Indiana State's tight end Jaquette McClendon earlier. What do you like about what he's been able to do in both the run blocking game and what he's able to do now as a more predominant figure in the passing game?
I think he's just a good athlete. I can see why they use him in multiple facets of the game. A blocker. He's a guy that they actually run the jet sweep with him. They run him on deep routes. He's a multi guy, and I can see him being a very, very instrumental in their offense. I know every week they're building more and more for him. He's a talented guy, and so we got to keep our eyes on him. But we all got to just play our gap, play our scheme, and do what we need to do and not get too caught up into certain things. They got their tendencies, and we just need to make sure we take care of those things.
How much is Kentori pushing for more playing time after his performance last week?
He's going to play. I don't know how much more or less. We kind of get into some personnel groupings where we put a package that may be in for him. The game dictates how much he may play. You know, we maybe go into the game, we're thinking this, but, you know, sometimes we have to change and adjust when we get in after the first quarter, the second half, and all that. So we got plenty of good backs, and we're going to use them all. And we got different game plans for each game and how we need to use them. So it's a great thing that we have because you never know how many bumps and bruises and injuries that come about. And his tremendous asset that he has is speed.
Coach, looking at their numbers, 2 of 22 on third down through 2 games. I mean, that's probably something to do with who they played last week with Tennessee. But how do you keep those numbers in that range, you know, keep them off the field or get them off the field, I guess, on third down?
Well, we're going to be sounding our gaps. Like I said, they do a lot of, I guess I use that word, facade. They kind of show some certain things and trying to get your eyes from where they don't need to be. And so it's a great thing that it's going to be a very, very disciplined game for us. And we haven't seen this type of deal. They probably, I'm not saying they do it every single play, but I'd say half the time they do all these shifts and motions and different things of that nature that they try to get you off kilter there. So it's going to be an interesting game, particularly from our defensive side of the ball versus their offensive side of the ball there. And so I'm looking forward to it. I know our defensive coaches are looking forward to it, and our players are ready to play another great game.
You specifically mentioned penalties. Is that one area that you feel like the team really needs to shore up heading into this week?
Yeah, I was disappointed last week, no question about that. So that's definitely was something that really was stood out pretty evident, and we just need to make sure we get it all corrected, and we've addressed it. Now we're going to see how they're going to respond as they get into a football game. We still want them to be aggressive. We don't want to take that away from them, but there are some certain things that we can teach them that can prevent some of the penalties that did occur. And every now and then you're going to jump off sides. Every now and then you're going to hold. That's going to happen occasionally. But some of the things there that, as far as hitting the quarterback, those things should get corrected right away.